So I shorted Bitcoin, and I want to talk about why I shorted Bitcoin, how I shorted Bitcoin, what I'm targeting here for Bitcoin, and kind of what I'm expecting here for the next little while, okay? Or what is a possibility from what could happen. Before we begin, these are my positions. The top one is Bitcoin. The bottom one is SUI. They are both shorts, and I want to talk about why we shorted it, okay? And the answer lies right here, okay? I shorted because we have a potential PO3 at hand. Now, before we begin, I just want to let you guys know, first of all, shouts out to the Nexus, but I did let the Nexus know that I was looking for this on Monday. I am not trading at the moment, okay? I'm only swing trading, and I only take swing trades when we're in a swing trading zone, and I do believe that we are in a potential swing trade zone, or we were, when I gave the Nexus this update, okay? So what did I say? I said Bitcoin rejected from the yellow box I mentioned a few times. Now, we were looking to short at 108K anyways, and look at where my position tool is, all the way down to 94. And I said, I will be keeping an eye on this setup, watch for a Model 1 distribution or a Model 2 demand to supply distribution, which could also turn into a PO3. Wednesday, which is today, is FOMC, watch for New York manipulation. And so you can see that at the time that I posted that update, I said we were going to come down, hit this 4-hour order block. This is where we were. If I come on, what time frame was I on here? 4-hour, okay? Let's come on the 4-hour time frame. This is exactly where we were, and this is exactly what I drew. So this is your first hump, that's your second, right? First, second. I thought we were going to come down, mitigate this 4-hour block. We did not mitigate that 4-hour block, yet we took the high one more time. No problem. Here, we took the high one more time. In the second example, we were going to make a lower high, hit that 4-hour order block, and then fail it. We ended up getting basically a mix of the two, okay? Because we ended up getting our third tap to the high, and then we came down, mitigated that 4-hour order block ever so slightly, bounced away from it, failed it, didn't put in a new high, and then started closing below. So we do have, now in my opinion, a confirmed PO3 play. And I want to talk about where I'm targeting and basically how I got it. Like, how did I even know that this was going to be a thing, okay? And it really all boils down to liquidity. Now, before I dive in really to the technicals here and I kind of just go off, let me just say, in my last video, I posted this same curve, right? The same liquidity curve. And I talked about how this was an SFP. Okay, we SFP'd this high, and the technical target, if you break serious structure, would be what caused that SFP high, which would be this low, okay? That obviously did not happen. And so I want to just start by saying, I am not a fortune teller. I say this every video. I sound like a broken record. I'm not a fortune teller. I am a reactionary-based trader. So, you know, I'm not saying that we're going to go down. I'm saying if I see what I want to see, like I saw what I wanted to see up here, like I just showed you what I posted in the Nexus, then I will take the trade, right? And you just build the trading plan. That's all that we're doing. And I also want to add, if your invalidation or if your idea, your trading idea did not get invalidated, it can still happen later, right? Just because this idea of SF being this high and then sweeping these lows after SF being this high did not come into fruition, it doesn't mean that we're never going to come for it, right? And it's funny because people say like, oh man, you know, obviously you're going to be right eventually. Well, the idea is still there. It's not like, you know, we're talking about, I don't know, coming down to like 50K and that idea is like way out of the question. I mean, we haven't really done much lately. We've been going sideways above 100K. We haven't done anything, right? So the idea is still there. Anyways, enough of that. So let's talk about this PO3, okay? So we had our range, right? We identified our range. We have our range high and we have our range low. Seems simple enough. First of all, let's just start with structure as we always do. You had low, you had high, you had low SFP, which means your high becomes the target, which we did talk about in the last video. And then you have high, okay? So you have low, high, low, SFP, whatever, high. Where's my, there we go, my colors. Beautiful, okay? This seems easy enough. I think everyone can draw this. Here, you have an arguable break. The reason I say arguable is because you did start wicking all over the place and then you never really closed above those wicks. But for the benefit of the doubt, it doesn't matter. We don't care about that break. We're not going to talk about that break right now. After you get a break of structure, you're expecting a mitigation of that range-based supply, this range here, and then potentially a continuation. So why was my short tool all the way down lower if we talked about how this could be a break? And the answer is what I just said. It could be a break. It doesn't have to be because we started wicking, right? You came here, you wicked that high, and then you wicked that high, and then you wicked that high, and then you wicked that high. So you're not really getting any clean breaks. And you can just see that this break, right? Like this break to the all-time high is very different than this break to the all-time high. or this break to the all-time high, or even this break to the all-time high. Like, this is no question a break, right? From left to right, this is no question a break, and that's why we continued higher. However, here we kind of just started lagging above the all-time high, lagging above 104K, 105K, and we formed a range here. And anytime you're at the high of or low of a macro range and you're just dancing above or below that range, whether it's above, like whether it's here or here, you're always going to potentially be looking out for a PO3 play, okay? A power of three. And especially when you have a beautiful liquidity curve as we do, these are the type of plays that could happen. And the reason I said like, okay, my idea is still valid is because, yeah, I had the idea that it could happen here. I didn't know that it was going to come up to here, but I knew that it could happen. And actually, it's even better that it came up here because the trade was easier. Okay, let's get into the trade. So we started to range above the previous range. I already was like, all right, I don't like this. Price action is stupid. Everybody is stupid bullish. And, everyone's smoking the hopium and, this, that, and the other. So we put in our first wick. I'm like, okay, cool. Remember, I'm not trading right now. I'm working on the Nexus course. I'm working on stuff for the Nexus, behind the scenes things. And that's why I haven't been on YouTube as well. I haven't been very active. And I am coming back in the New Year's, by the way. Actually, before the New Year, I am coming back to streaming at least 3 times a week. But anyway, not the point. What did we see within this range? We knew right off the hop we were looking for a PO3, and we knew right off the hop in order to have some form of a distribution, your first tap must get taken by your second tap, okay? Which is why I drew out 2 scenarios. One was where we took the high, one was where for the third tap, we took the high. The second one was where we did not. We ended up taking the high. Whenever you have your tap 1, you have your tap 2. If you break decent structure, you will likely put in your tap 3 like this, and then down you go. We did not break any decent structure. There were no longer term time frame day trades to be had. And we obviously just put in high, low, higher, low, and then higher high. As soon as we had this higher high, I was like, all right, we really need to pay attention. We really, really need to pay attention. That's what I said. Watch out for the New York manipulation. Okay. I let the Nexus know. What happened after we had that high? If you come and look, very simply put, okay, very simply put, remember where we are, we're at all-time high. Sentiment is through the roof. We're ranging above 105 or whatever K, and we are forming what looks very much so like a distribution, and you're at your third tap. Like, this is literally the highest possible point that you can short from. What ended up happening, and we're just going to follow the structure. We're going to follow the internal structure, okay? Because we know obviously this is tap 2. We know obviously that's tap 3. So let's just follow it up, okay, based on structure. What did we have? And we're going to keep it simple. We don't need to complicate it. We had low, we had high, we had higher low, we had higher high, we had lower low. Right there was where I was like, all right, boys, it is time to absolutely short the farm. And I want to remind you guys, I said it in the last video as well, but these are the type of plays. When you get a beautiful PO3 setup like this, it's basically just a trap. It's a bull trap. This is a bull trap. And by the way, make sure that you follow me on X, because I did also post this for free on X. I can't always come and make videos on YouTube, especially with how busy I am these days. I will be coming back to doing live streams. But on X, sometimes I give X a little bit of a preview of what's going on in the Nexus. And this was one of them. Okay, this was one of them. So make sure, links in the description down below. Make sure you follow me there. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, that's it. Basically longs are canceled. I mean, I'm not eager to ever jump into bed with longs way up here like everyone else is. I'm not eager to do that at all. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, here's your range-based supply now. This was also, for a more technical term, a change in the state of delivery. Okay, if you don't know what that means, I'll eventually get to it. I'll eventually teach you guys, so make sure to subscribe. I had to show myself there. But it doesn't matter. You didn't have to take it based on the change of state of delivery. You could have just waited for the back test. And even locally speaking, if you were just watching this order block, look how easy, okay? You knew you had your point of interest, right? What did you have here? We're going to follow the structure. As soon as it got mitigated, you had low, you had high, low, high, low. High, low. You did wick it out and then break. Right there, you could have shorted. That was the easiest short ever. This was a very, very, very easy short, guys. Right on that break, right here. Oops. Where did I go? I'm not going to edit this out. You guys are going to have to wait for me to find my spot here. Oh my days, where is it? Well, while you're waiting, do me a solid and hit the like button if you like the content. It's got to be here. Yeah. Okay, cool. So right there on that break, you could have entered. Okay. Right here, you could have entered. And watch how fast you could have de-risked this. Remember what we learned in the last one. Let me hide the PO3 because we know what the PO3 is. We'll talk about the target here in a moment. But right here on that break, you could have shorted. You even came back up for a remitigation. Okay. For not a remitigation, a mitigation of this new range-based supply. And then down you went again and you broke structure again. As soon as you had this double break, honestly, you could have just went MC Hammerfly and moved your stop loss right there. Very easy. Look at this, right? You could have had one position right there. This one, you probably would have kept the stop loss up here and then targeting wherever you're targeting. Once you had the second break, if you didn't re-enter more, I probably at that point would have moved my stop loss right there and you would still be in that position, right? Weren't even tested on it. So now let's talk about the target. Okay, that's how I entered the trade. Now let's talk about the target. And the target is quite simple. It's simply just based on liquidity. Okay, what even is a PO3? It's essentially, well, a bearish PO3 it looks like a reaccumulation, looks like they're reaccumulating up here. However, they didn't break high enough to give confidence in a higher low, higher high. So like I said, it's a bull trap. It's a manipulated move, right? Looks like a reaccumulation. And the target for that reaccumulation on average is the bottom of the range that it manipulated out of, okay? And then you build the confluence in that range. Well, what is going on in that range that could stop you? Okay, well, you have a little reaccumulation here, but that reaccumulation was mitigated right here. So I don't really care about that. You have this daily order block that I have drawn on the screen. However, the problem with this daily order block is you have these two lines, which are equal lows, double bottoms. In other words, more liquidity. And then, of course, the elephant in the room is this giant liquidity line, right? So for me, especially because I'm not scalping right now, I am only swing trading. I am targeting a lot lower than where we are right now. So by default, you can target this low. Now, I'm going to give two scenarios. Remember, I am not making predictions. I have my target like everyone else has their target when they're taking trades. But I'm going to give two scenarios. And I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt for the bearish scenario here, okay? I think that we are going to see at the very least 98.4. I see no world in which we don't come to at least 98.4. It doesn't have to happen right away. We can bounce a little bit here. We can mitigate this and then come back down further. But I do believe we will be seeing 98.4 at the very least. At that point, depending on how structure looks coming into this zone, I think maybe we get a push up and then we can continue to roll over, okay? Potentially. Now, what do I want to talk about in terms of targets? Remember I said the PO3 target is the low of the range. This was a pretty extensive wick, and this wick swept out a lot of liquidity, as we know. So you can consider this range in two ways. A is like this, and B is like this. So if you were going to target the range or draw the range rather this way, then I wouldn't actually be targeting this wick. It's not unusual for a PO3 to actually send you way beyond what that range low is in general, but I would be targeting at the very least, either scenario, 94K. Okay, I do think 94K is a feasible place for this short target to get to, or for Bitcoin to get to. Okay, remember, Bitcoin's hopium and everyone is stupid bullish and blah, 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 whatever. But it's not even just about the sentiment. It's about the liquidity. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't come for this. Again, it doesn't have to happen in one go. But if we do get a bounce from here, or we do come down and mitigate this, and then you get a nice structure flip up here, yeah, I'm shorting that again. I'm targeting here as my TP1. I'm targeting here as my TP2. And that's if we're lucky. I'm hoping that they do something like this. I hope they come down like this very, very slowly. You get a nice structure flip here, reconfirmation. We'll long it up to like this area, 100K plus, get everyone bullish again, and then run it down. I don't know if that's going to happen, and I kind of don't think it's going to happen, but I'm prepared for it to happen just in case, and we'll see. We'll see. Again, I don't make predictions. I just react to what the market tells me, okay? And right now, what it's telling me is that, it told me to short, and I shorted, and I'm chilling, and I'm happy, and I'm just, doing Christmas things and Nexus things, and, it's been nice to not sit in front of the computer for 12 hours and look at the 2-minute time frame and say, oh, we got a bullish div here and oh, we got a bearish div here. It's been nice to not do that, So we'll see how I end up, in this trade. We'll see what happens, how far we can go down. And in the event that we do actually my goodness, my words, touch the 90K level, which I don't think is that unlikely, to be honest. I think it's more probable than not that we're going to hit 90. Then we can start talking about these other targets, because realistically, I can take this liquidity curve and draw it all the way down to here, right? We got a bigger curve than what I had drawn. You got a nice curve all the way down to 85K. If you lose 85K, well, what do we got? I mean, we don't really have anything to hold you up. So that's why I said this could be a swing trade. And understanding that a PO3 could technically take you down a lot further than your target, because remember, it's a manipulative move. That's all it is, right? So a PO3 could take you down pretty substantially. This is going to be, in my opinion, again, I'm not making predictions. I'm not saying we're going lower, but if one level fails, like if this daily order block doesn't hold, you're going to sweep these lows. If these lows don't hold, you're going to come to this low. If this low doesn't hold, you're going to come to this low. And if this low doesn't hold, you know what I'm saying? It's just level by level. If one doesn't hold, you're going to go to the other. And it's as simple as that. And so if all of these levels start to fail and the bears rather, really start taking some control here for the first time in what seems to be ever, then I think that this could be the beginning of a larger correction than most are A, expecting, but B, comfortable with. Because I think right now the market is very comfortable. I mean, depending on the side that you're on, but the bulls have been very, very comfortable. And as we all know, even in the healthiest bull markets, we do have pretty substantial pullbacks. Okay. So again, I'm not saying it's going to go down there. I'm not saying it's never going to go back up. I'm not saying it's the beginning of the bear market. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I'm looking for reactions off of these levels. And it's as simple as if they don't bounce from one, they're going to go to the next. And if they fail the next one, they're going to go to the next one. And it's not very difficult, in my opinion, to come down here. That's kind of the nail in the coffin, is that it's a relatively easy move to be had. And it's like this short that we got from up here to sweep all these lows, because it was the same thing. It was literally the exact same thing. We had a bunch of liquidity that was forming below because of over-leveraged greedy longs. The Bitcoin FAG index is like 85 or something because of the greedy longs, and they ended up getting mass liquidated. Now, that was apparently the biggest or second biggest liquidation in Bitcoin history. So do I think that they have to revisit this line? Absolutely not. This could be your low until 150K for all I know, but we're watching for reactions. Okay, that's the important thing, is we're watching for reactions. And then I, enter my positions and I build my narrative based on what they tell me. Okay. Now I want to very briefly talk about the Sui short. Sui was a fairly easy short as well. Whoops. All right. Smash like for me messing up the charts here while we're waiting to fix them. All right. Sui was a very easy short. And I think Sui, let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it simple, boys. That's what I'm all about. We got, same as we did on Bitcoin, we have high, we have low, and then we have high. But the problem, actually not problem, rather, well, the difference is a better word. The difference between Sui and Bitcoin is Sui actually gave you a pretty decent break, right? This is you can't even argue that that's a break. So your expectation off the hop for Sui would be, would be a higher low to make a higher high. Beautiful. So where am I targeting to? What makes sense? Where could price come down to? This could be the low for Sui for all I know. It definitely could be. I'm not saying that it can't be. But we do have an 8-hour order block down here that I don't love it, but I don't hate it, the way that it looks. And I do know that after you get a break of structure, you will typically pull back to some level that makes sense. This might be the level that makes sense to then get a nice market structure flip and then continue higher, right? And then locally speaking, at the same time that Bitcoin was putting in its PO3 and its manipulative range, what do we have? 3 taps on the high, Model 1 distribution, send price lower. And this was a very easy position to get in. I got in somewhere here, and because I'm swing trading and I'm not scalping and with super high leverage, I got in here. I kept my stop somewhere up here, and I've kind of just been chilling. So I didn't even know that this move happened today. If I did, if I was scalping, I might have gotten shaken out from that, but I don't know. I kind of like just chilling a little bit, get into the position, get into the higher probability, bigger time frame positions, potentially day trades, and not necessarily scalp the 2-minute time frame like I do from time to time. And yeah. So anyways, that is it for this video. If you like the content, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and make sure you click the little ding thing, the little bell icon, because I will be making videos a lot more frequently, and I will be going live, so we could be doing this analysis live and trading perhaps in real time together. A quick reminder that I am not a financial advisor, and I am definitely not a fortune teller.
I know I'm sexy. I've got the look, the drive to go.